The first thing Isabella Rowan lost wasn't the use of her legs, it was hope. Hope slipped away quietly, like breath on a cold mirror. The morning she woke up in a hospital bed and realized the ceiling hadn't moved, no matter how hard she tried to sit up. Machines hummed softly around her. Forehead. The smell of antiseptic burned her nose, and when she finally looked down and saw her body, still, silent, unresponsive from the waist down, something inside her collapsed in a way no doctor could diagnose. Isabella was 22 years old, a former competitive dancer, a university student who used to run up staircases 2 steps at a time, and she was the daughter of Victor Rowan, the ruthless, brilliant CEO of Rowan International, a man the business world called unstoppable. But money, Isabella would soon learn, meant nothing to a body that refused to listen. Victor Rowan stood at the foot of her bed that day, his tailored suit immaculate, his silver watch glinting under fluorescent lights. He had closed billion-dollar deals with a calm voice and steady hands, but now his fingers trembled slightly as they curled around the metal rail. "They say it's temporary," he said firmly. "A spinal shock, swelling. The best doctors in the country are here." Isabella stared at the ceiling. "They always say that," she whispered. Victor didn't hear her, or maybe he did and chose not to. He was already on his phone, calling specialists, arranging transfers, throwing money at the problem like it was a faulty machine that simply needed better parts. Isabella turned her head toward the window instead. Outside, the city moved. Cars flowed. People walked. Life continued without her. And for the first time since the accident, she cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with silent tears that soaked into the pillow and carried something precious away. The accident had happened on a rainy night. Isabella remembered it in fragments, headlights blinding her, the scream of twisting metal, the violent stillness that followed. She'd been driving back from rehearsal, music playing softly, thinking about an argument she'd had with her father that morning. "You don't need dance," Victor had said, fed. "Focus on something real." Now she would have given anything to stand in that studio again, her muscles burning, her heart alive. Weeks turned into months. The hospital room changed. Different nurses, different doctors, same verdict. Incomplete spinal cord injury at T12, paraplegia. Uncertain prognosis. Victor spared no expense. Experimental treatments, overseas consultations, private rehabilitation centers that looked more like 5-star resorts than medical facilities. Isabella was transferred to Rowan Neurological Recovery Institute, a glass and steel complex built entirely because Victor Rowan had willed it into existence. But inside those pristine walls, Isabella withered. Physical therapists came and went. They smiled too much, spoke in careful tones. Inza asked her to try again. Lift this, push that, visualize movement. She did, over and over. Nothing happened. Eventually, she stopped trying. "You need to participate, Isabella," said Dr. Helen Moore one afternoon, clipboard pressed to her chest. "Your recovery depends on—" There is no recovery," Isabella snapped, her voice sharp and tired. "Stop pretending," Dr. Moore sighed. "War scans show potential neural response, but without effort." Isabella laughed bitterly. "Is so I can sit in a wheelchair for the rest of my life and pretend I'm grateful?" The doctor's face softened, but she didn't answer. That silence felt like confirmation. Victor noticed the change. His daughter no longer argued, no longer cried. She simply existed, eyes dull, shoulders slumped, refusing therapy, refusing visitors, refusing life. One night, long after the institute had quieted, Victor sat alone in his office overlooking the city. The lights below sparkled like a galaxy he had conquered, and yet he felt utterly powerless. For the first time in decades, Victor Rowan didn't know what to do. The call came from an unexpected place. "Sir," said his assistant, Clara, "there's a physical therapist requesting an interview. Not one of our staff. He works with pediatric and long-term trauma patients. His name is Daniel Carter." Victor frowned. "We already have the best." "Yes, but he requested specifically to work with your daughter." He said. Clara hesitated. "He said he doesn't need to see her medical file first." Victor's jaw tightened. "That's absurd." He also said, Clara continued quietly, that if he fails, he won't charge a cent. Victor leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. He didn't believe in miracles. But desperation had a way of loosening rigid beliefs. "Send him in," he said. Daniel Carter didn't look like the experts Victor was used to. He wore a plain sweater, jeans, and scuffed shoes. His hair was slightly unkempt. his face lined not with age, but with experience. He carried no briefcase, no tablet, just a quiet confidence that felt strangely out of place in the polished office. "You have 10 minutes, Victor said coolly. Daniel nodded. "That's enough." Victor raised an eyebrow. No one spoke to him like that. "Emmy's daughter has seen dozens of specialists," Victor said. "Why do you think you're different?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He looked out the window, then back at Victor. Because I don't start with her legs," he said. "I start with her heart." Victor scoffed. "This isn't a motivational seminar." "No," Daniel agreed. "It's worse. It's personal." Silence stretched between them. "My wife died 5 years ago," Daniel continued calmly. "A car accident. I was left with a 6-year-old son who stopped speaking for almost a year. Doctor said he'd talk when he was ready. Therapist gave up. I didn't." Victor felt something shift. "A pain," Daniel said softly. "It doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to patience." Victor studied him. "And you think my daughter will listen to you?" Daniel met his gaze. "I don't need her to listen. I just need her to feel seen." Another pause. Finally, Victor exhaled. "You can meet her. Once." Isabella didn't look up when Daniel entered her room. Trek sat by the window, wheelchair angled away, headphones on, staring at a world she no longer belonged to. Daniel didn't announce himself. He didn't clear his throat. He simply pulled up a chair and sat beside her. For a full minute, neither spoke. Then Daniel said quietly, "You don't have to turn around." Isabella stiffened. She slowly removed one earphone. "I know that look," Daniel continued. "It's the if one more person tells me to try harder, I'll scream look." Against her will, a tiny smile flickered and disappeared. "What do you want?" she asked flatly. "To help," he said. She laughed bitterly. "Join the club." Daniel nodded. A fair, another silence. "Me name's Daniel," he said. I'm a single dad." She didn't respond. "My son used to love dancing," Daniel added. Before his mom died." Isabella turned slightly. "He stopped moving for a while," Daniel said. Not because he couldn't. Because he didn't see the point." Something in his voice, quiet, unforced, made her listen. "I'm not here to fix you," Daniel said gently. "I'm here to sit with you until you decide what you want next." Isabella swallowed. Don't waste your time," she whispered. "I'm already broken." Daniel leaned closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "A broken doesn't mean finished," he said. "I'll help her," he added softly, as if speaking to the universe itself. For the first time in months, Isabella felt something crack. Daniel didn't start with exercises. He started with conversations. They talked about music, about dance, about grief, about dance, about grief, about how anger could be easier than hope because hope hurt when it failed. He brought photos of his son, Noah, a skinny boy with a crooked smile and bright eyes. "He asks about you," Daniel said one day. "Why?" Isabella asked. Because I told him about a girl who used to fly." She looked away, blinking fast. When therapy finally began, it was different. Daniel didn't say a try harder. He said tell me what you feel. He celebrated millimeters. A twitch, a sensation, a muscle remembering itself. Progress was slow, painful, infuriating. Some days Isabella screamed. Some days she refused to get out of bed. Daniel stayed. Victor watched from a distance, skeptical but intrigued. He saw changes. Not dramatic, not miraculous, but real. His daughter laughed again. Sometimes she cried openly now instead of silently. She lived another accurate. Setbacks came. An infection, a regression. A day when her legs refused even the smallest response. Isabella shattered. "What's the point?" she sobbed. "I can't do this anymore." Daniel knelt in front of her, his eyes steady. "You don't have to do it forever," he said. "Just today." She shook her head. "I'm tired. I'm tired." "I do I for it. So am I." He took her hand. "But I'm not leaving." Months passed. One morning, during a routine session, Isabella frowned. Did you see that?" she asked. Daniel's breath caught. "See what?" "On my foot," she whispered. "I felt it." "See?" Daniel didn't speak. He just nodded, tears filling his eyes. Victor, watching through the glass, covered his mouth. The first step came a year later. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't pretty. But it was real. Isabella stood, shaking, supported by braces in Daniel's arm. She laughed and cried at the same time. "I'm standing," she gasped. "Yes," Daniel said, voice breaking. "You are." Victor turned away, finally allowing himself to cry. Isabella didn't fully recover. She still used a wheelchair on bad days. She walked with assistance. Her life was different than before, but it wasn't over. She returned to university. She started a foundation for spinal injury recovery. She spoke, not as a victim, but as a survivor. Daniel stayed in her life, not as a savior, not as a miracle worker, as someone who showed up. One evening, as they watched the sunset together, Isabella said softly, "You know, you didn't fix me." Daniel smiled. "I never tried to." She looked at him, eyes bright. "You helped me believe again." And sometimes that was everything. Inspiration at the end. Hope doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes as a whisper, a presence, a promise to stay when the world walks away. And sometimes the help we need most isn't to stand again, but to remember why we want to.